chin lifted. You humans survived by hiding behind walls. We Varnock survived by facing death and defeating it. Reed didn't blink. These ruins are filled with airborne spores. They don't kill right away. First, they infect the nervous system. You'll start to feel heat, then pain, then hallucinations, and then your body will beg for death. Zaraya leaned close, smirking. Are you trying to scare me? Or do you just want me to run into your arms and say, "Save me, human"? Reed didn't smile. He just stared. I'm trying to keep you alive. For a moment, the jungle fell. Silent. She stared at him, then laughed low, mocking, sharp. I didn't train 10 years in the storm barracks to run from mold. Then she turned and walked into the green fog ahead. Reed didn't follow. The inside of the ruins swallowed her whole. Thick roots crawled along the walls. The vines seemed to twitch when she passed. Her breathing grew shallow. The air wasn't. Just hot. It was wrong. Like breathing soup, still, she moved forward. Proud, steady. 1 hour passed. She saw ancient glyphs, half-buried bones, and shattered machines covered in moss. She reached for her scanner, but found it jammed with sticky pollen. TCH. Weak human tech, she muttered. Then she felt it an itch. Just beneath her left shoulder, she scratched it, shrugged. Another itch. Lower back, her leg. She paused. No. I trained for this. It's nothing but the heat in her chest. Had grown, and her skin it was glowing, but not in the usual way. She suddenly felt dizzy. She knelt, gripping a stone wall for support. A shadow passed behind her. She spun around. Nothing. Then she saw it. Her arm. The veins beneath her. Silver blue skin were pulsing. Dark. Thicker than before. She gasped and tore open her sleeve. Something moved under her skin like a ripple. Just for a second, her heartbeat exploded in panic. No, impossible. She tried to run, but her legs shook. The spear felt heavier. Her vision blurred. She stumbled toward the exit, but the vines closed in tighter. She coughed, gagging. The air tasted like iron. Her body burned. Not on the outside, but deep inside. Her lungs, her stomach, even her spine. The spores were there. Reed's voice echoed in her memory. They don't kill right away. She collapsed to one knee, gasping. Help, she whispered. Outside, Reed was already moving. He'd seen the signs, the birds flying away, the vines twitching, the faint sound of a scream carried by the wind. Damn it, he muttered. He strapped his filter mask tight, checked the old vial in his pouch, and vanished into the jungle. Inside the ruins, Zaraya dragged herself across the stone floor. Her pride was gone. Her spear lay forgotten. Her vision was red and spinning. Then dashed footsteps. She reached for her weapon, but couldn't lift it. And then he appeared. The human dot through the haze, she saw his eyes. Steady, calm. Still think I'm weak? Ah, he asked quietly. Before she could answer, she blacked out. Zaraya woke to pain. Not just any pain, deep pain. Inside her bones, inside her blood. It felt like her own cells were fighting each other. Like her body was at war with itself. She tried to move. She couldn't. Her wrists were strapped with soft bands. She was lying on a smooth metal surface, dim lights above her. The air was cold, clean. She could breathe again, but her lungs felt sore, as if they'd been on fire. She blinked slowly. The jungle was gone, and the human was there. Reed, he sat beside her, elbows on his knees, staring at a small device in his hands. His eyes looked tired, like he hadn't slept in a while. When he noticed her waking, he stood quickly. "You're alive," he said softly. She opened her mouth to speak, but her throat was dry. Reed held out a small metal straw to her lips. Water. Drink. She didn't trust him, but her body did. She drank. Then she croaked, Where am I? My bunker, he said, hidden about a mile from the ruins. You were lucky. Any deeper and even I couldn't have pulled you out. She groaned. You followed me? I always planned. 2, he said, sitting again. I've seen too many overconfident warriors walk into that place and not return. Zoria tried to sit up, but her body wouldn't obey. What's wrong with me? She asked, voice trembling. The spores got in, Reed said, his voice firm but calm. They enter through the pores. They spread fast. You collapsed right as they reached your bloodstream. She gasped. So I'm dying. No, he said. Not if I keep doing what I'm doing. He pointed at a strange black band around her arm. It pulsed with a faint light. That's drawing out the infection. It's a mix of human nanotech and Varnock medicine. I've used it before. Sorius. Eyes narrowed. You saved me. He shrugged. I didn't have to, but I did. She turned her face away. I didn't ask for your help. You didn't have to. For a long moment, there was silence. Then she whispered, It's moving. On the inside. Me. Reed nodded. I know. That means the spores are trying to survive. They're fighting back, but we've got the upper hand for now. Suddenly, her body jolted. A sharp spasm ran up her back, and she cried out in pain. Arm arched. Off the bed, Reed moved quickly. He pressed a button on the nearby console, and a faint electric hum filled the room. Zoria gasped. What did you? It's okay. The nanobots are attacking the spore clusters. You'll feel more of that. Sorry. Better than dying, though. Gee. Lay back, teeth clenched. Through the haze of pain, memories rushed in. Her mocking tone, her proud smile, Reed's warning. I didn't believe you. I noticed, Reed said dryly. Another spasm hit her. Tears welled in her eyes, not from fear, but from shame. She wasn't used to being helpless. Varnock warriors didn't cry. But here she was, half naked on a human's bed, strapped down. Like a child, barely able to move. I should have listened, she said through gritted teeth. Reed didn't answer. He walked to the far wall, pressed a panel, and pulled out a glowing syringe. What's that? She asked. Something that might speed up the fight. Her eyes widened. You're injecting me now. You'll thank me later. Before she could argue, he stabbed it into her thigh. A burning sensation flooded her veins. Her body arched, shaking. She screamed, and then it stopped. Just like that, silence, she lay still. Breathing heavily, her skin was wet with sweat. Her hair stuck to her face. But the burning was gone. The pulsing under her skin was still there, but slower now. Calmer, taut, she whispered. What was that? Reed leaned over her. A bioaccelerant forces the spores to reveal themselves. He picked up a scanner and ran it along her. The screen showed red clusters fading. It's working, he said. She looked at him with tired eyes. You saved me. Again, smiled faintly. Don't get used to it. I don't understand you, human, she said. Oh, why risk your life for someone who insulted you, someone who mocked you? Reed looked at her for a long moment. Then he said, because I know what it's like to be proud, to think you're unbreakable. I've been there. He looked away, his face dark. I ignored a warning once, he said softly. My brother gave it. I didn't listen. He died. I didn't want to watch that happen again. Zoria stared at him, silent. Something inside her shifted. Not just the spores, but something deeper. Zoraya sat up slowly. Her arms trembled, but she was no longer strapped down. The pain had eased enough to move. She blinked, confused. The lights above her were low. The air smelled clean, metallic. She wasn't in the jungle anymore. She looked down. Her armor was gone. She was wearing a simple, human-made tunic, soft and plain. Her spear was leaning against the far wall. Her breathing quickened. Then she saw him again. Reed. The human was sitting in a chair nearby, asleep, head tilted against the wall. A faint stubble lined his jaw, and a bandage was wrapped around his left arm. She stared at him for a long moment. He had saved her, carried her, injected her, stayed beside her, all without asking anything in return. She tried to stand. Her legs buckled in an instant. Reed snapped awake and rushed to her side. "Whoa, easy," he said, catching her before she fell. "Don't touch me." She hissed, pushing him weakly. He stepped back but didn't argue. "You need to rest," he said. "I don't rest," she growled. "Your body says otherwise." She looked at her shaking hands. They didn't look like her hands anymore. Her skin had changed just slightly. A faint shimmer ran through the blue-silver tone, a glow that wasn't there before. "What did you do to me?" she demanded. "I stopped you from dying," he replied calmly. "And the spores. They changed part of you. But the treatment I used to babbed. Your cells fought back harder than I expected." Her voice dropped. "You changed me." Reed nodded slowly. "Yeah, a little." She sank back onto the bed, eyes wide. "I didn't want this. You wanted to walk into a deadly jungle and prove how tough you were. You got your wish. The jungle doesn't care about pride." Her jaw tightened. "Don't lecture me, human." "I'm not," he said, walking away. "I'm telling you the truth." He opened a small container and pulled out a wrapped meal pack. Steam rose as he heated it in a nearby machine. The scent of food filled the room, warm, earthy. Her stomach growled loudly. She winced. Reed chuckled. "You can insult me all you want, but your body still wants my food." He placed the tray beside her bed and stepped back. Zoraya stared at it. It looked strange. Human food always looked strange. At the smell. She picked up the spoon and took a bite. Warm, soft, spicy. Her eyes watered. She hated how good it was as she ate. Reed sat across from her, checking a screen. "What's that?" she asked, mouth full. "Your vitals. The spores are retreating. The treatment worked better than I hoped." She looked down. "So, I'm not dying, no," he said. "But you're different now. Spores mutated part of your biology. The cure forced your body to absorb some of their traits instead of rejecting them. You're stronger now, more resistant. But what?" she asked. "You'll feel things. Surges of energy, heat, maybe even aggression. The spores like to push instincts to the surface. It could take time for your mind to catch up." She froze. "Are you saying I'm dangerous?" He didn't answer right away. Then he said, "Only if you lose control." A silence hung between them. Finally, she asked quietly, "You said someone else tried this before." Reed's face darkened. "My partner, 3 years ago. She thought she could map the ruins alone, just like you." Zoraya's eyes softened. "What happened to her? She didn't make it." She stared at him, guilt twisting in her chest. "That's why you warned me." He nodded. "And why I followed you anyway." She looked away, ashamed. "I mocked you. Treated you like you were nothing, and you still risked your life." He leaned forward, voice low. "Because I've lost enough people to pride. I'm done watching others make the same mistake." Zoraya blinked fast, holding back something she didn't want to show. Emotion. She forced a scoff. "You're awfully soft for a human." And, "You're not as cold as you pretend to be," Reed replied. That shut her up. They sat in silence. The only sound was the soft hum of the bunker. Then Zaraya whispered, "I saw something. In the jungle, before I passed out." Reed raised an eyebrow. "What did you see?" She frowned. "A light. Floating. It wasn't a hallucination. Head shape, purpose, like it was watching me." Reed stood. "Then it's awake." "What is the jungle?" he said grimly. "You weren't just infected. You were noticed." Zoria's skin prickled. "Get some rest," Reed said, walking toward the weapons locker. "Because next time it might not just be spores." Asterisk the bunker lights dimmed to emergency mode. Zaraya sat near the corner, arms wrapped around her knees, eyes locked on the closed door. Her skin still tingled, as if the spores were whispering beneath it. She didn't trust her own body anymore. Reed moved around the room with focused steps, checking compartments, loading a rifle, syncing old tech to newer gear. His jaw was tight, silent, different. She watched him. "Why are you so tense?" She asked finally. He didn't answer right away. Then he said, "Because it's not over." Zoria frowned. "I thought you cured me." "I slowed it down," Reed replied. "Stop the damage." "But spores, like those, ... they leave something behind, a connection." She stood slowly. Connection to what? He turned to her, and for the first time since she met him, his voice held fear. "To the hive." Zaraya felt the air chill. "Hive," Reed nodded. "A collective consciousness, buried in the ruins. Not alive in the usual way. It's made of memory, biology, and instinct. It doesn't speak, it doesn't think. It reacts, and now it knows you." She stepped back. "How you touched its roots, breathed its spores. It scanned your DNA, and now it's curious." Zaraya paced. "So I'm a target now?" "No," Reed said. "You're a key." She froze. "What?" Reed walked to the wall and unlocked a hidden panel. Inside, covered in dust and old fabric, was a cylindrical container glowing blue. Zaraya squinted. "What's that?" Reed hesitated. "Something I was never supposed to have." He lifted the cylinder and placed it on the table. It pulsed with life, almost like a heartbeat. "This," he said, "is experimental. Human biotech fused with alien neurogal. It can sever a hive link permanently, but it comes with a cost." "What kind of cost?" Reed looked her dead in the eyes. "It doesn't just cut the link, it burns it out. Every cell that's been touched by the hive dies. That includes part of your nervous system, your brain, maybe more. The last guy who took it forgot how to speak. Another lost the ability to dream." Zaraya's voice went cold. "Then why do you even have it?" "Because when you live long enough near death, you start keeping desperate things." He paused. "And because I always feared someone would make the same mistake I made years ago." She stared at the vial. Her fingers itched to grab it and throw it into the wall. "Why are you offering it to me?" She asked quietly. "Because you felt the hive," Reed said. "Didn't you? That light in the jungle, it wasn't watching you. It was welcoming you." Zaraya looked away. "Yes," she whispered. "I felt it. Like it wanted me. Like I belonged." Reed stepped closer. "That's not you thinking. That's it, pushing into your thoughts. If we don't act soon, you might go back there." She shivered. "You think I'd lose control?" "I think you already are." Zaraya's hands balled into fists. "I'm not weak. I didn't." "Say you were," Reed said calmly. "But I know what it feels like to have something inside your head whispering lies." She stared at the vial again, then asked, "What happens if I don't take it?" Reed's face turned grim. "Eventually, The hive will start speaking louder. Not in words, but in urges. Instincts, it will use your memories. Your pain, it will make you want to go back. And once you do it, will take you completely. She stepped away from the table. No, she said. There must be another way. Reed walked to a nearby console and pulled up a holomap. There might be. There's a core chamber inside the ruins. Deep underground. It's the heart of the hive. If we destroy it, maybe we break the link. Zoraya raised a brow. You've never tried? No one's ever survived long enough to get there. Zira walked over and stared at the map. Her glowing fingers hovered over the deepest section. I'll go, she said. Reed turned sharply. No, it's inside me, she said. It wants me. Then I'll be the one to end it. Reed shook his head. You're still recovering. And it's dangerous beyond anything you've seen. Zoraya stepped forward. You said it yourself. I'm different now. Stronger. If I don't go now, it'll only get worse. I'll lose. Myself anyway. He stared at her. Then opened another drawer. Pulled out a small, old-fashioned blade. This belonged to the last person who tried, he said, placing it in her hand. He didn't come back. She gripped the blade. The jungle didn't welcome her this time. It watched Zoraya step through the thick green fog with careful steps. Her body was stronger, now leaner, more agile, but her senses were sharper too. She could feel the heartbeat of the jungle all around her. The way the vines moved when she breathed. The way the air shifted when she blinked. Something deep beneath the ground pulsed. And it responded to her. Behind her, Reed moved quietly, rifle in hand. He didn't say much. He had already argued against this plan. But now that she had made her choice, he followed. He didn't trust the jungle, but he trusted her mostly. They reached the ancient stone gate just before dusk. The glyphs on the pillars glowed faintly as if sensing her presence. Reed stepped back. It knows you're here, he said. Zoraya nodded. Good. The gate opened on its own. Inside, the walls were covered in living vines, strange bioluminescent. Spores floated through the air like fireflies. Reed kept his helmet sealed, filters running. Zoraya didn't need one anymore. The spores didn't burn her lungs. They welcomed her now. That was the danger. Her skin shimmered faintly with the same glow as the hive roots. Every step she took, the jungle seemed to open, guiding her deeper. She knew the path, though she had never been here before. How far is the core? She asked. Another half-click, Reed said. But the further we go, the more alive it gets. He wasn't lying. As they walked, the walls changed. Stone became flesh. Vines turned into veins. The ground pulsed faintly under their boots like a slow, sleeping heart. Suddenly, the hallway darkened. Zoraya stopped. Something moved ahead. Not a beast, not a machine, but a shape, tall, thin, like a shadow made of mist. It glided forward. Then, froze. Reed raised his rifle. What is that? Zoraya stepped in front of him. The figure turned its head toward her and whispered, not in sound, but in her mind. You are not separate. You are chosen. Zoraya clutched her skull. No, I am. Not yours. You came to us. You breathed us. You carry our seed. She dropped to one knee, shaking. Reed fired. The bullet passed through the shape harmless. It vanished in a flash of light. Zoraya gasped, staring at her hands. Her veins glowed again. The spores were waking up. Calling. Reed pulled her up. Listen to me fight it. She nodded, teeth clenched. I'm still me. But she wasn't sure. They reached the core chamber at last. A massive circular cavern, lit by a glowing mass of pulsating flesh and light. It rose from the center like a blooming flower of energy-tangled roots, feeding it from all sides. Giant stalks pulsed like arteries. Strange energy crackled in the air. Reed stared in awe. That's it. Zuria stepped forward, heart pounding. I can feel it, like it's inside my chest. Then the floor shook. From behind the central pod, something rose. It wasn't a beast. It was HERA duplicate, same height, same face, but darker. Eyes completely white, skin pulsing with spores. Like a mirror made of nightmares. The duplicate spoke without moving her lips. Why destroy what you already are? Zoria stepped forward. Not real. I am what you are becoming. Reed aimed his rifle. You want me to shoot it? Zoria shook her head. No, this is my fight. The clone charged. Zura met it head on. They clashed hand to hand, energy against energy. The duplicate moved like her, fought like her, but lacked the human part. The heart, the fight, was brutal. Vines whipped out from the walls, grabbing at Reed. He fired wildly, cutting them down. Trying to reach her, Zorea screamed as she was thrown back. The clone leaped on her hands, tightening around her throat. Then flash of memory exploded in her mind. Reed's voice. I've lost enough people to pride. Brother's face years ago as he disappeared into the jungle. The pain, the guilt, and the choice. Zorea roared and grabbed the clone's face, shoving it backward into a surge of energy from the hive core. The copy shrieked and melted into glowing mist. The hive pulsed in alarm. Zorea limped toward the center. Reed tossed her the blade, the same one from the last explorer. She caught it and stabbed it into the very heart of the hive. A shockwave erupted. Light poured through the chamber. Vines screamed. The walls cracked. Zoria collapsed, her body convulsing. The spores inside her howled. She felt her own mind slipping. She was burning from the inside. Then, hand grabbed hers. Reed, he dragged her out of the collapsing chamber. One arm slung around her. You're not dying on me, he growled. Zoria barely heard him. All she saw was darkness and peace. Asterisk, Zoria woke in silence. Not the peaceful kind, the empty kind. She was lying on cold metal against Reed's bunker floor. Not the soft medical bed from before. Lights flickered overhead. Sparks danced from a broken panel. The room smelled of ash and burning wires. She sat up slowly. Pain stabbed through her ribs. Her arms were bandaged. Her skin no longer shimmered, glowed faintly beneath her veins, as if fire was trapped under her skin, and Reed was nowhere in sight. Her heart dropped. Reed. No answer. She stood. Her legs ached, but she forced herself upright. Alarms blinked red in the corner. Systems offline. Shielding down. Something had damaged the bunker. Then she heard it. A low growl. Not outside, inside her mind. She gritted her teeth and slammed her fist against the wall. No, I killed it. I destroyed the core, but the hive had roots. Deep ones. Her eyes narrowed. She grabbed her old armor torn and burned tanned, strapped on whatever pieces still worked. She slid a blade into her belt, picked up Reed's backup. Rifled, then she stepped out into the jungle. What she saw stopped her cold. The jungle was moving. Not just the vines. The entire forest breathed like a lung. Trees shifted. The ground pulsed. Spores floated like glowing snow in the air. The hive wasn't dead. It was angry. Zoria stepped forward carefully, her senses wide open. The jungle felt different, not just dangerous aware. Like it had become one massive creature, and every step she took was on its skin. Then dash gunfire, far off. Her pulse surged. Reed, She found him in the clearing near the ruin's edge, firing shot after shot into a wave of mutated creatures. They looked like twisted versions of animals: deer with too many legs, birds with tentacles for wings, and at the center, one massive beast, 10 feet tall, made of bark bone and hive tissue. Reed ducked behind a rock, reloading fast. Soraya slid into cover beside him. "Took you long enough," he muttered, bleeding from a cut on his forehead. "You left me," she snapped. "You passed out cold. I went out for backup, and the hive woke up." She looked at the monster. "That thing. Is it the hive's guardian?" He nodded. Grimly. "Final defense. I've only seen it in old records. It doesn't die easy." Soraya's hand went to her chest. The glow inside her was stronger now. Brighter. "I can feel it, calling me again." "Don't listen," Reed said. "You beat it once, you can beat it again." Zura stood slowly, rifle ready. "I'm not going to run," she said. "Then I've got your back." They charged together. The battle was chaos. Reed fired precise shots, blasting smaller creatures. Soraya weaved between monsters with speed she never had before, dodging, spinning, striking. Her reflexes had changed. The hive had made her faster, but she controlled it now. She leaped onto the guardian's back, driving her blade deep into its spine. It howled, flailing, but she held on tight. The spores screamed inside her. They wanted her to join, not fight. But she roared back, "I'm not yours." She shoved her glowing hand into the creature's core. A burst of light exploded from her palm. The beast shrieked, then shattered into glowing dust. The jungle froze. Then everything fell silent. Later, Reed and Zoria stood in the clearing, breathing hard. Smoke rose in the distance. The hive was breaking apart since roots severed, its creatures dying. Reed dropped to one knee. "We did it." Zoria looked down at her hands. The glow was fading. The hive was finally gone. She turned to him. "You were willing to die with me back there." He gave her a tired smile. "Someone had to make sure you didn't turn into a mind-controlled queen of the jungle." She laughed softly, a sound she didn't recognize in herself. "I almost did," she said. "But you didn't," Reed replied. "Because you're not just Varnak anymore. You're something more." She looked up at the twin suns breaking through the canopy. "What does that make me?" Reed stood beside her. "Alive." The jungle was quiet now. Not dead, but free. The air had changed. It no longer stung the lungs or buzzed with threat. The vines hung loose like tired limbs. Spores no longer floated with hunger. They drifted gently, fading like memories. Zoria stood in the middle of the ruined core chamber, staring at the spot where the hive once pulsed. The walls were cracked. The heart had withered. But something still stirred inside her. Not the hive's whisper. Something new. She pressed a hand to her chest. The glow had dimmed, but it hadn't gone. Reed stepped beside her, limping slightly. A fresh bandage covered his shoulder. "They won't believe this back at the outpost," he said. She gave a faint smile. "They'll say we're both infected with jungle fever." He nodded. "Probably." Then he looked at her seriously. "You're still glowing. Is it over?" Zoraya's face hardened. "I don't know. I destroyed the hive's core, fought off its call, but part of it lives in me now." Reed raised an eyebrow. "Does it control you?" "No," she said. "But it remembers." He stayed quiet for a moment, then said, "So do you." She turned her face slightly. "You mean the mistake I made?" Reed shook his head. "No. The choice you made after." She blinked for the first time. Someone saw more than just her failure. He saw her fight, her growth, her strength. "I could have let it take me," she whispered. "Part of me wanted to. No more guilt, No more war. Just surrender. But you didn't, Reed said. You chose pain. You chose regret. You chose to keep going. Zuria stared at her hands. The shimmer was fading now. She felt tired, worn, but herself. Do you think I'm still Varnak? She asked. He smiled faintly. No, I think you're something better. Later that day, they reached the edge of the jungle. The sky was clear. The suns hung low, painting the land in gold and red. The ruined ruins stood behind them, half swallowed by nature, but harmless now. 2 ships landed. Near the clearing, scouts from the outpost. Armed soldiers rushed out, weapons raised, confused by the silent trees and the heatless air. One officer barked. What happened here? Where's the hive? Reed simply said, ask her. Zuria stepped forward. The soldiers froze at the sight of her glowing skin, at the way the jungle seemed to bow around her. One of them whispered, is she infected? No, Reed answered. She's survived. The officer frowned. Then, what is she now? Zuria raised her head, her voice calm and clear. I'm proof that we don't need to fear what we don't understand. Just respect it. The soldiers looked around uneasily, then slowly lowered their weapons. That night, Zuria sat by a fire outside the bunker ruins. Reed handed her a small cup of warm broth. She sipped it slowly, quietly. After a while, she asked, what will you do now? Reed shrugged. Keep mapping ruins. Helping fools who don't listen. She smirked. I listened, eventually. They both chuckled. Then Reed turned serious. What about you? Go back to your people. She stared into the flames. I don't know if I belong there anymore. They see emotions as weakness. I nearly died because of pride. Reed nodded slowly. Then don't go back for them. Go back for the ones who might follow you. The ones who will listen. She looked up at him. That's not a bad idea. He grinned. You're welcome. She rolled her eyes. Still smug. Still alive. She laughed again, this time freely. Before they went their separate ways, Reed gave her a data crystal. What's this? She asked. My recordings, he said. Everything we saw. Everything you did. If your people won't believe your words, maybe they'll believe the truth. Zuria looked at the crystal like it was heavy. I used to think humans were reckless. Weak. He raised a brow, and now, she smiled. Now I think you're dangerous for all the right reasons. Reed bowed slightly. Coming from you, I'll take that as a compliment. She turned toward her ship, then looked back one last time. Reed. Yeah. If the hive calls again, if something else comes back, I'll be here, he said. She nodded and vanished into the stars. Epilogue. Weeks later. On a far-off Varnak station, Zuria stood before the High Council. They called her traitor. Heresy. Tainted. But when she activated the crystal and the footage played when they saw what she'd done, silence fell over them like stone. A younger Varnak warrior stood up, trembling. Did it hurt? She asked. Zuria smiled gently. Yes. Then why did you go back? Her voice was steady. Because I wanted to change. And sometimes, regret is the fire that forges something better. The council didn't cheer. They didn't kneel, but they didn't stop her either. And that was enough.